This horse been rode outside a few times, and it's coming along pretty good, but what I need to do is come back to some groundwork to get him. I need him better on the ground. I can ride him, but he's still worried on the ground, and I want to get him better about that. And I've already flagged him. I flagged him from a horse. I flagged him from the ground. I flagged him with a saddle on. And he just needs more of it, this particular horse. You can tell by watching him with the height of the skull that he needs more. And what I'm going to do with the flag on, with the tarp on the ground, is going to get his confidence up. Because this I can get taken care of. And incidentally, whenever you get over into that right eye like this, you want to be ready to be prepared to block the horse. If you've got a, when I first started him in this, I didn't do that. Here's the right side. I'll get the right side away from the fence, rub the horse, get him better about it, make an outline of the horse. Make an outline of the horse is literally draw the horse. Now I don't do this with them hobbled. I break all my horses to hobble, but I don't do this with them hobbled because I'd be setting them up to fail. And if they ever jump in the hobbles, then the hobbles are just a bluff. I don't want them to feel like they can jump through them. I like to keep them pretty good about this. Now this ground thing is really going to help this horse with this flag. He's just a nervous kind of horse, and that's all there is to it. If you're rich like me, you have a couple different size tarps that you can work with them. And I've got a smaller tarp here that I use when I ride them. This is the tarp that I do on the ground to start off with. And when I get to riding with the tarp, this is the tarp that I'll carry. I've got a big tarp for what I'm about to do. I'll show you that. Now something I want you to notice is you don't do this by holding the horse here. You got to allow him to sin. He needs to have some kind of release so he'll learn to stand on a nice loose rope. He'll be fine. And I don't sneak around him. A lot of this is just habit. Him thinking he has to do this. Tarp gets bigger while I work. I'm ready to block. You always have your rope across your arm. One way to stop it, the other way to stop it. So to start off with, he hasn't done this part of it, and this is what I want to show today. If you watch the horse keep trying to get farther away from me, especially on the right side, I'll use my flag eventually. Now this is one of those horses that almost all horses, the head just drops down once the horse is onto it. He tends to keep his head up high for quite a while. I'm giving him a chance to make it through there. The height of the skull is a big part of this, but If I waited on that, I'd be here for 4 years. I'm just wanting to get him exposed to it. Because what you got to know, a lot of this stuff is just a habit. You just got a habit of being all worried about everything. Now I just moved the tarp over closer to the fence. Now if you got a bronco, which when they cross the tarp, if they jump it, a lot of times they'll jump it and kick out with the hind foot, so you really don't want to be there when they do. This isn't a bronco. This is just a nervous horse. But one of the reasons we're doing the tarp on the ground today is because when I ride this horse outside, when he sees shadows like on a bank or an arroyo, it scares him to see the shadow there. So I'm going to be getting him better about things on the ground. That's going to help me when I ride him outside about crossing things. More confidence. Now he's going to be ridden with the flag and the tarp. That's just part of it. That's part of what happens around here with horses. He already knows what I want. I just need him to do it. Once again, this isn't done with your hand up under their chin. This is done with the horse having... You got to give the horse enough credit to understand how to do this without holding them like this and putting them over the tarp. We're in a round curl. If he runs off or gets away from me, he'll be right back, believe me. Hopefully the tarp, if it helps draw his skull down because he wants to look at it. They're curious. So I'm sure you notice that when you start off, you just have it all rolled up like a log and then you turn it into something flat. Now he's been using the fence as a crutch, he and I both, and it's just a matter of getting him to feel confident. So now I'm going to pull the tarp away from the fence. And he has a choice of one or the other, but he still needs to make it over the tarp. Now what I want you to notice is that when you're working a horse, try not to get all theatrical. The lower I can keep my hands, the quicker I can get this horse to do this calmly. If I do it up here and I'm flogging around like a dying chicken, all I'm going to do is make it worse. If I can keep my hands quiet and try to stay below my belt, then I can keep the horse quiet. If I need to get higher, then it'll mean something. But if you start off waving your arms all around, then they're going to be that much more trouble to get done. This isn't as threatening with my hands low. He knows what this means. He knows what this means. And what he's doing is walking across the tarp back and forth. He doesn't like it. He's not done. But he's walking across it. So having several choices, I could spend 3 days here walking back and forth across the tarp, or I can move on to a bigger tarp, because I think now he can handle it and expose him to a little bit more. I want to take him with me when I'm doing everything I'm doing, because him and I are going to have to be joined at the hip. Now another option for a horse when you're doing this is the flag. It's your call, whatever If you got a really dull horse, which this isn't, or if you got a really touchy horse and you don't want to get in close enough to get smacked, you want to use your flag as an extension of your hand. You can go under, which means right in front of your feet, like this, picking up that other eye, keeping the horse off you. Or you can go behind you, just like this. I tested him away from the fence just to see how it'd go. There's just enough breeze here to make this a bit of a contest, and that's plenty good. Now once again, I've got the horse with me when I do this. I'm not going to go tie him up, come back, set the tarp. That's part of the deal. He's got to get on the payroll. He's got to get used to this. So I think the point of the lesson today is you got to decide, is a horse genuinely afraid or is it just a habit? It's just a habit on this horse. He's used to spooking from things like this and thinks that that's acceptable. And I'm trying to show him with my demeanor, of course, not being bothered about anything, that you don't need to do that. He's also getting worked on the flag in what we call separation. In other words, you can rub a horse with a flag and then you can use it to move him. So the horse learns separation, the difference between stand still and move. It's two different things. In spite of himself, he dropped his head down. Now, because of him being a horse, which means he's a little sharper than a human, he already knows what to do. I don't have to keep raising the flag up to drive him across the tarp. He already knows what to do. All I got to do is point him. So take that to the limit. Later on, when I put my leg on him and he starts to turn, I take my leg off, he'll turn. If he stops turning, I put my leg back towards him and he'll keep turning. There's a correlation between the flag on the ground and the riding of a horse. You'll know in your heart that he knows what you want, so just let him do it. You don't have to keep kicking. You would just as soon this is going to help me with my riding. Because remember, I'm going to ride him with a flag and a tarp. He's also going to be crossing the tarp with me on his back. Well, I'm no genius, but if I can get this taken care of now, it's going to make it a lot easier when I'm on him. Now bear in mind, everybody's seen it 1,000 times. You cross the tarp with the horse on the ground, then you get on their back and they won't go near it. That's just the way it is. So you're not done when you're doing this, you're just getting it set up for the next phase. A horse will cross a creek his entire life as a colt on a mare, or in a pasture, whatever. You get on him and he won't cross the creek. That's what keeps us humble. Now the separation between the horse and the flag, I want to show you so you understand what I'm talking about. Another way of doing this is just simply turn your horse loose. Okay. Now you set the tarp. If you have the space between the tarp and the fence, he's going to go through the space every single time. When you have a flag in your hand, it's hard to control that part. So you just make it to where it's where you want it to be, which is here. This is all just part of groundwork to me. I believe in groundwork. I don't believe in groundwork until a horse is old enough to vote, but I do believe in it. And on that note, there's groundwork and then there's dinking around. Dinking around is when you're just playing games and jumping through hoops. Now, that's called liberty training. That's what they do in the circus. There's a purpose for what I'm doing here. So now I'm going to send the horse and stop it on the tarp. You notice the height of my flag again. Now remember, this is the same flag I was rubbing the horse with. So it's kind of worth taking 20 minutes out of your life to get this taken care of, because it could save you a trip. Separation. I'm not going to rub you with it. I want you to move off of it. That's what it means. Every time you cross the tarp, you get to work right eye, left eye. Now, I back off. He knows where to be. I put pressure on. This is me riding the horse. The object is to stop the horse on the tarp. Take the pressure off, ask, release, ask, release. There you go. Thank you.